Why can't I be consistent? And the huge thing that changed with the second channel was I just decided every Monday I'm filming a video no matter what. Like literally, even if I'm sick, even if I'm traveling, I can still sit down and talk to the camera for 15 or 20 minutes, it's possible that something could have happened that actually could have prevented me, right? Maybe I'm on my deathbed. Maybe like my camera breaks, that's possible. But the mindset was that I'm going to do this if at all possible.
Hello, welcome to Monetizing Mompreneurs podcast, where I take you behind the scenes with industry leaders, entrepreneurs, moms, working professionals, and amazing people pursuing their passions and going for their dreams. And I'm your host, Linda Mendable. Gillian Perkins is the CEO of Startup Society, YouTuber, and the host of the Work Less, Earn More podcast, which is an amazing podcast, by the way. She teaches people how to start and build profitable online businesses that allow them to earn passive income and live a flexible lifestyle. On the personal side of things, Gillian is a Christian mom who homeschools her 5 kids. She and her family live on a 15-acre property in Oregon, and in her free time, Gillian enjoys cooking, gardening, and watercolor painting. Yay, Gillian, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am beyond excited. It's almost like I'm a bit intimidated just because you are such a big deal for me. Like looking at your social media, looking at the way you market, your videos are on point, like incredible and amazing. But take us, Gillian, to where you started quickly to where you are now. Because I have heard your podcast on your 100K strategy. So I kind of got, some insight, and I can point the audience to that. But yeah, where would you like to start?
Well, it's been a journey. So I'll try to keep this really short. But basically, when I was in high school around age 14, I was homeschooled, and I was in a homeschool band program, an orchestra program, and I was playing the flute, and I hadn't been doing that for very long, but a friend who was also in this band asked me to teach her because she was really struggling. And I was like, no way. I don't know how to teach anyone. Like I barely know how to play the thing myself, sort of thing. But she was very, very insistent. God bless her. And she ended up coming to my house and just insisting that I teach her. So I taught her how to play the flute. And from that first session, she handed me $20, and I was like, you can't give me money. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But she kept showing up every week and giving me $20. And then she started telling people that Gillian was a great music teacher. So it's the beginning of it all. And so before I do it, I had a few different families that I was teaching their kids piano lessons as well. And it really just grew very organically from there. In short, my students liked me. They liked my teaching, and so they told other people. And it grew to the point where I had about 20 students. And at that point, I had a lot more confidence, because my students were so happy. And also not just happy, but I saw that they were getting results, that they were learning to play the instruments. So I started marketing myself as a piano teacher and a flute teacher. And I grew that up to the point where I had 40 or 50 students, which is a full-time load. At that point, I was like, okay, well, now this is my job. Like, I don't know if I want to do this long term. I don't know if I want this to be my career, but this is certainly how I'm paying the bills now, and it's pretty enjoyable. But it's also very kind of restrictive. I have to be there every week and teach all these students, and I definitely don't get paid if I'm not there. So how could we make this more scalable? So that was when I started hiring other teachers to work for me. I rented out a studio downtown in the city where I live, and I had these teachers work there, and we grew that studio up to around 150 students, which made it the largest music studio in the area by far. And I was able to cut back my student load. So I kept running that business for a total of about 11 years, so a little bit more than 11 years. And along the way, though, I was constantly starting side hustles, starting other businesses. And I told myself when I was doing that what I was doing was I was trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do long term. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. But what I ended up realizing toward the end of that journey was that really it was a love of entrepreneurship. It was a love of marketing, a love of business strategy, and honestly, a love of starting and trying new things. That was actually prompting me to do that. And so it wasn't, none of those individual businesses turned out to be the one. But when I finally had that realization, I was able to take what I had learned from starting over half a dozen businesses and start using it to coach other business owners. And I was having a lot of business owners who were asking me for marketing strategy advice because every time I'd started a new business, I had to figure out how to get customers for it. So I tried every marketing strategy in the book, from Facebook ads to Google ads to literally putting up billboards in my city to running ads on the radio, ads in the newspaper, all sorts of other digital marketing strategies, just everything. And some of them had worked a lot better than others. So I was doing marketing strategy for local business owners, and then I decided to give it a try online. So I took my business online and I started accepting online business clients to do their not just their marketing strategy, but actually the service, running their ads for them. I kind of zoned in on Facebook ads, but I had this just multi-service digital marketing agency that I ran for, honestly, not very long before I realized that even though teaching music wasn't what I wanted to do long term, I did love teaching. And I enjoyed teaching a lot more than I enjoyed doing service work. And I think it was because I really enjoyed kind of the idea of like teaching someone to fish instead of fishing for them, that whole parable of sorts. And I liked helping people help themselves because that's how I like to do things myself. I like to help myself instead of just have people do things for me. Because when people do things for you, you get very limited results. But when you learn how to do things for yourself, you can then learn how to like take that and use it to build something bigger than yourself. So around that point was when I sold my music studio. I sold it to one of the teachers who had a lot more passion for music itself than I did. Also, aside from that, it was just like I love starting new things. And so the fact that I'd been running it for that long, I was ready for the next thing. So I decided to go all in on my online business, all in on YouTube. And I started my YouTube channel, and it went from 0 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers in less than 3 months. And then by the end of that first year, I was at 55,000 subscribers, surpassed 100,000 in about 18 months. And we're now at over, this is now 7 years later, but we're at over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is just incredible. And I've built a digital education brand at this point where I teach online business owners how to market their businesses, how to sell in their businesses. I focus in on digital products and services, teaching people how to sell those products online.
Amen. I loved everything about that. I started also, dabbling with like sewing. I started there. I
Mm.
started sewing. I remember I reached out. I was doing everything I could to market of like how to sew for students, for young, for young adults and stuff like that. And I had 2 signups. And that's when I knew this is not it. This is not the one for me. But that's incredible on how you gain so much growth. And I want to go into, you said you went all in. What did going all in look for you?
A great question. Well, here's what it didn't look like. It did not look like working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, the Gary V hustle to go all in and, like devote my life to that. Not at all. It was much more about being intentional and just making it my priority. So it's more about doing it first than doing only that or doing a ton of it. So with YouTube specifically, well, let me back up a tiny bit. Prior to starting my YouTube channel, I was just trying the variety approach. So I was posting on Instagram, I was posting on Facebook, I was posting on Twitter, I was writing a blog post, I was just doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And my strategy, if you will, or my thinking behind that, was that, I needed to kind of like not have all my eggs in one basket. I needed to spread myself out, kind of try to be everywhere. I wanted to show up. But then I think I saw that graphic that is today, where I know it is in the book Essentialism. It's this picture. It shows these like two circles and they're your energy. And on the one hand, you've got all these like short arrows sticking out of it. So it's like, okay, you can go a short distance in a lot of different directions, or if you put all of your energy in one direction, you'll go so much further. So we've got this one long arrow in the second half of the diagram. And so that just shows like, if you prioritize one thing, you can go so much further with it. So when I discovered that idea, that was a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in on one thing, focus on that one thing. This was before the book, The One Thing, even existed. So I decided to make that YouTube because of all the different marketing strategies I'd tried. The one that had surprised me the most, the one that had gotten me the biggest results with honestly the least strategy behind it was several years earlier when I had started a different YouTube channel. It was in the beauty niche. And I had horrible videos and I didn't post consistently, but I did post fairly steadily, even though it wasn't like every week at all. I'd post a couple videos every month. And even with just that and my very low quality videos, I still had some videos pop off and get thousands, actually hundreds of thousands of views, a few of them. And even the ones that didn't do that great, I was still, getting 20 or 100 or 1,000 people to watch each video. And that was, not knowing what I was doing at all. So I was like, if I figure this out, if I study the algorithm, if I learn what works on YouTube, if I learn how to make better videos, even just that, then I think that I could do really well with this. So we're going to focus on YouTube. So what it looked like for me was literally just every Monday, first thing, I make a YouTube video. Just hit record on it, make a YouTube video, and then I'd spend the next day or two editing that video. And then I would post that video. I don't remember exactly what my posting day was. It was either like Wednesday or Thursday, but just consistency. And I was just dedicated to doing that for at least 3 months. I didn't make a huge long-term commitment, but at least 3 months. We'll give this a try. We'll see what happens. And then I can make a decision about whether to keep doing this or try something different. And that 3 months changed my life.
That's incredible because I do hear people giving up after 3 to 6 months. You know, I'm actually impressed that you kept on going, gave it 3 months, and it changed your life so much that you continue to grow and keep going. My other question would be, because, I know from our audience and like polling people, and I've actually asked our community, like, hey, I'm about to interview you. Jillian's coming on the show. Oh my gosh, everybody, what do I ask her? And I have a few questions that I'm gonna ask. But before we get there, when you grew that first company, did you focus on that one thing? Or like what was a secret that you think that made it successful?
A couple things. So one was that yes, I did focus on that one thing, and that was because it was the first thing. I didn't yet have the confidence to go after other ideas. It was very all consuming, just because it was like this new thing to me. So without, like I'm not tooting my own horn at all. I didn't like try really hard to focus on one thing. It was just like it was easy to focus on one thing because it was the first thing. And that definitely contributed to this success. And then the other thing I would just say is having a great product. I think that a lot of people, especially in the online business space, where it's so easy to start a business, it's too easy almost, right? Where people can just like throw up a website and then they wonder why their product's not selling. And it's like, well, maybe it's because your product's not that great, and that's a little bit of tough love, but I think that's important because I see that often, that is often the reason why people's products aren't selling. Product's not that great, or the marketing doesn't make it look that great. The product might be incredible, but yeah, honestly, just need a little bit better graphic design to polish it up, to make it look a little bit more professional, a little bit more luxe. And that can go a long way. Now, that's not going to build a business on its own. Okay. Just having a fancy looking website, you need a lot more than that. You need a strategy behind that, but it is a big component of it. And it's hard to build a successful business if your product sucks or if your packaging sucks.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask a question from the community, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper with that. So hold on. But so I have Rebecca, and Rebecca says she used to have a YouTube that went left. She's asking, should I erase my past videos from 7 years ago and start from scratch while I update some things for my business? Or should I leave the old videos also? And also, what is the best video editor for a window computer? She uses a Lenovo. Like, thanks in advance.
Yeah, great questions. And that's actually a really common question that I get where people want to know, like, should I start a new channel or should I use my old channel? So, and there is a fair amount of like nuance to the answer. Okay. There's no like absolute, yeah, you should either like always throw it away or should always start new. It depends on some things. It depends on how many subscribers you have. It depends on how old those old videos are, like how long it's been since you posted. It depends on whether you're staying with the same topic or you're changing your topic. And it definitely depends on the quality of those old videos and whether you actually still want, people to watch them, right? So let me try to go through each of those things, probably not in the same order I just said them. But so first of all, how many subscribers do you have? If you've got less than 1,000 subscribers, especially less than 500, you're probably just better off just starting fresh, especially if it's been a number of years, because you'll be able to get back to that milestone pretty quickly, and it will be better for you to let go of that baggage and not kind of be worrying about that. Whereas if you have more than 500 to 1,000, then you might want to keep the old channel. We'll look at these other things. Another thing is your topic. Is your topic changing? If you are going to be talking about the same topic, then again, you might want to use that same channel, maybe, considering a couple other things. If you're changing topics, then we generally don't want to keep the same channel, um, with a caveat. It might be worth trying to keep the same old channel. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute once I go through these other couple factors. The last one, I guess, would be the quality of the old videos. If they are poor quality and you are like kind of embarrassed by them, you could do so much better. Then honestly, unless they are doing something good for your business right now, like they are still getting views and they're sending you leads or something like that, I would recommend privating them or even possibly deleting them because they're not really serving anyone and they're going to be some baggage. Okay, but all that said, here's actually like the easiest advice that everyone can follow. If you're not sure, then try using the old channel. Okay, make some new videos, post them on the old channel one at a time, and see what happens. See if they get views from those existing subscribers. And as you post several videos, like I would recommend probably 10 to 12 videos at least, as you post each one, do the views start going up and up and up or down and down and down? Now, if they're going up and up and up, you're seeing a healthy number of views, great. Okay. So you've probably already, privated your old videos if you didn't want people to watch them or not, but you can go ahead and use this channel because the channel is healthy enough and those existing subscribers, however many there are there, whether that's 12 subscribers or 5,000 subscribers, however many old subscribers you've got, they are somewhat interested in your content and things are working. On the other hand, if you're seeing really low views, and especially if those views are going down as you post those new videos, then that old channel is just not healthy enough. And it is going to be doing you more harm than good and making your growth more difficult than it would be to start it with a fresh channel. So what you're going to do though, so that this is like totally win-win situation here, you didn't even waste your time, is you're just going to delete those new videos that you posted from the old channel. Okay, delete them, but assuming that you have a copy of them. You should have a copy, okay, but delete them from the channel and start a new channel and post those new videos, the same ones, on the new channel. Again, one at a time. Now, the reason you have to delete them from the old channel is because YouTube will not let you, at least it's not supposed to let you, and generally it doesn't let you, post the same video twice. So you have to delete it before you'll be able to repost it, but hardly anyone saw it when you posted it on the old channel. So no one's going to be bothered or even know that you're posting it again on the new channel, but you will be able to use those videos you created to be the first content on the new channel. So you didn't waste your time, because I know that's what a lot of people are like worried about is, do I keep trying on that old channel or do I start the new channel now? Well, I wish that I had just gone ahead and started a new channel. You can pretty much have your cake and eat it too. You do lose like a few months of time with this testing, but it's worth it if you have enough subscribers on the old channel that it would be worth it to try to keep those subscribers.
Gillian, that was absolutely incredible. And I can see your passion and your gift for teaching because you really broke it down and you gave different scenarios. And now I know with my YouTube channel, I'm going to have to delete some videos. So I only have 20 subscribers. I have another question from Bianca, and she says she started her YouTube journey 2 months ago. She would like to ask, what are your best tips for getting started and keeping up the momentum?
Mm. So I would say have a routine. Make it a routine. As you may have heard other people say, like, don't wait for motivation. Don't rely on motivation. Make it a habit. I found that to be so true when I started my YouTube channel and as I've continued for so many years now. Um, that just making it because I had a channel before this, a channel that I started several years before that, that I'd really struggled with consistency with. Like I said, I had managed to post a couple videos every month, but I wanted to be posting every week and I just couldn't be consistent. Weeks would go by, I hadn't posted, then I'd post a few videos in a row, and it was demoralizing, I would say, more than anything. Like, why can't I be consistent? And the huge thing that changed with the second channel was I just decided every Monday I'm filming a video no matter what. Like literally, even if I'm sick, even if I'm traveling, I can still sit down and talk to the camera for 15 or 20 minutes, like uh, is, it's possible that something could have happened that actually could have prevented me, right? Maybe I'm on my deathbed. Maybe like my camera breaks, that's possible. But the mindset was that I'm going to do this if at all possible, that this will be my priority. This will be my commitment. And making that the habit and having that commitment made it honestly easy to be consistent.
I like what you said about no matter what, because today is my no matter what day, no matter what. but uh, but it looks like sometimes poor planning can also be one of those things. I usually just take one meeting a day and it doesn't like disrupt my schedule or anything like that. But there's always these elusive days when things are like, I think like for me, this is a very important meeting, because I'm like, wow, I just get to sit down with you and our audience gets to listen to someone credible, someone that's been there before, went through, the failures, the ups and downs. And that's what I want to ask because when people look at you, do they say she has it all together? There's no bad days for her. Can you take us through maybe one of those times that you had kind of like a failure moment and what you learned from it?
Mm. Feel like that might be hard to think of off the top of my head, but not because there haven't been many of them. But yes, people definitely say those sorts of things to me, like, how do you do it all? And man, you have it all together, those sorts of things. Yeah. But the reality is that, well, I'll talk about two realities. One is that there's always something, in the background. There's always things that, maybe my business is looking great today, but my house is messy, sorts of things. Or maybe my business is looking great, but I'm dealing with anxiety or depression because that happens too. So there's always going to be that behind the scenes. Sometimes the behind the scenes is great also, but you know, you never know looking at the outside. The other thing I would say is that it comes in seasons, and there's always going to be a cycle with things going really well for a while and then things not going so well. And a lot of the time when we start our online businesses or any sort of business, we start out in the things not going so well season where it feels like we're making no progress, not getting any momentum. But as we keep going, then we catch that first wave and we'll see a surge of success for a time. And then we'll go back down in the slump and then it will go up again. That happens with so many things in our lives. Like if you've ever tried to lose weight, then that will happen, right? Where you'll lose weight for a few days and then your weight will go up and you're like, oh no, this isn't working. But then if you keep going, then you'll go down to a new low. And then, then it goes back up a little bit, down again. And you see that with economic cycles and like just anything that is like a process, right? Where there will be good and there will be bad and it goes up and it goes down. So all those people who look like they have it all together, they might be in an upswing right now, or you might just be seeing the outside.
Amen. So another question I would ask is, you have a team, correct?
I do, yeah. A small
Yeah,
team.
amen. Amen. How do you manage your team? Like, how does that infrastructure look like in having that team to help you have more time so you can strategize and project?
Yeah. So having a team can obviously save you a lot of time, but I think that there are a few kind of misconceptions that people have about teams and having a team and how helpful it can be. Um, that can cause them to make some mistakes with growing their business and hiring a team. So, the first thing is I think people should know that I did just as much stuff, like all the stuff I'm doing today, posting videos on YouTube, posting my podcast, blog posts, having a decent looking website, releasing products. I was doing all of those things before I had a team. Now, there were lots of things that were going undone. Okay. The back end of my business was looking pretty messy. I wasn't as organized as I wanted to be. Um, I would only be doing kind of like the one thing. So, like launching whatever the current product was and not be like marketing at all or selling the other products. So, but all of the, like, outward facing things, they were covered. So my business looked just as essentially, like, successful. It wasn't quite as polished, and I didn't have as big an audience back then, but if someone was to, like, look at my business, they would have been like, "How is she doing it all?" And she's all on her own. And it was because I focused on the things that people could see, which was good and bad, right? It meant that there was some messes happening behind the scenes, but it also meant that I was doing a good job of like focusing on the priorities, like the things that were making me money, the things that were growing my audience. So don't wait until you have a team. I know that sometimes people say, like, you look at me and you see me doing all the things, but I have a team. So don't beat yourself up if you aren't. And, of course, I'm not saying you need to do as much as I was doing. It was a little bit crazy, but I was doing it all on my own, and even then, I was working less than 30 hours a week just because I was focused on the right priorities, those things people could see from the outside. So, knowing your priorities is really important and challenge yourself to get more done and to cut out busy work as much as possible. But another thing I think people should know about having a team is that having a team doesn't necessarily save you time. It can actually take a lot of time if you don't manage it well. It is very easy to have a task end up taking as much of your time, even when it's delegated. If you spend a lot of time talking to the person who is doing it, and just like communication takes a lot of time. So if you go back and forth with them, you can think you're saving yourself time because someone else is handling it, but a lot of the time that isn't actually the reality. And of course, it's costing you money in the process. So it's really important to hire strategically and hire people who will be able to do the jobs that you're hiring them to do, obviously. So that you can actually hand things off and not have to still be half doing it yourself.
A question I would ask with that, because I feel like that's so hard, like trying to hire another team member. For me, that's been a challenge. Um, but I do believe in trying to get as much off of your plate as possible. But before you did that, before you kind of like started delegating, you know, were you waiting for? Like, did you wait for a certain income amount before you started delegating, or you were like, okay, I gotta start delegating because it's not gonna, I can't keep on,
Mm,
I gotta start.
yeah, that's a good question. So, I started trying to hire too soon, which is how I've done a lot of things in my business. Tried to do it too soon, but that wasn't a bad thing. In retrospect, not a bad thing. And the reason was because it just meant that that was a learning experience. No, it didn't actually help save me time then, and it did cost me money then, but I wouldn't have gotten to where I was, but I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now if I hadn't done that then, right? So initially, I had read a few different books, thinking of like the 4 Hour Work Week and Virtual Freedom was another one that talked about hiring essentially like virtual assistants overseas for really low rates and how this was like such a hack and it would save you so much time. So I tried doing exactly that, hiring people for like $5 an hour. And it was just a massive waste of time. I could not find anyone who could get the work done and like get it done well enough. And it was taking my time, it was taking some money. So I kind of shelved that idea for a while. I was like, can't really find it. And this was even after I tried hiring some people for some higher rates because I thought, well, maybe it's just, that I'm trying to go for $5 an hour. Let's try hiring people for $10, $15 an hour. Still a really low rate, obviously, but that was what I could afford at that time because my business was not really making any money. I was trying to make money, but I wasn't making money yet. So then after my YouTube channel took off, It was about 9 months into starting that channel, and so at that point, I probably had roughly 25 or 30,000 subscribers, so it had grown quite a lot, and I decided to hire a video editor, and the reason for that was because the thing that was taking the most of my time, that was not directly making me money, was editing the videos, and so I thought, if I can outsource this, that's gonna reclaim 5+ hours of my time every week that I can spend in other areas of my business, like in creating and launching products, things that will make me money more directly. So I hired that video editor then, never looked back on that. I have continued to hire other video editors and I actually really like editing videos. And so it's one of those things that like I wish I had time to do it, but there's other things that are more important for me to do for my business to grow and make money. And so I can't really afford the time to do it. Because for fun, or with my free time, I want to spend that time with my kids or on some other hobby. So yeah, it just doesn't really make sense. I can't justify spending more time behind the computer, even though it's something I like. So anyway, I hired a video editor. And then probably about 6 to 9 months later, but probably closer to 6 months, was when I made my next hire. And I hired, drum roll here, okay? This is apparently very what's the word for this? Controversial. Apparently this is very controversial. I hired an online business manager. Now, hiring an online business manager, not controversial. Hiring it when your business is not making much money and before you have a team for that online business manager to manage is controversial. In fact, I've had people come on my podcast and specifically say, like, people hire online business managers way too soon before they even have a team. And I was like, well, raising my hand here, I totally did that. And it was the best thing ever. And the reason was because I identified that my bottleneck was my messiness. My bottleneck was that I was charging forward and I didn't have the systems and the organization in place to be able to be consistent, to be able to fulfill what I was, promising or fulfill my goals and keep achieving my plans, keep following my plans to achieve my goals. And I was like, if I could just stick to my plans, if I just had someone who helped me keep my head on straight, I could do so much more. So that was why I decided to hire an online business manager, was because specifically, I had read a book. It's called Rocket Fuel. And it talks about how there are two different kinds of leaders in a business, typically, pretty much any successful business. They have the visionary leader. And then there is this other kind of leader that gets different names. In the book, they call it an integrator, but essentially it's like the admin type person. Okay. And they are managing all of the day to day. And they're 100% a leader in the business, but they're not the leader that's like making the big new plans and charging forward. They are the leader that's like managing what happens on a day to day basis and keeps everything running smoothly. And when I read that book, it was, again, light bulb moment where I was like, I'm totally the visionary. I'm always charging forward and making messes. I need this other kind of leader in my business, even though we didn't have a team. So I hired Courtney Leverage, who has been my online business manager ever since then. And that made hiring everybody else that we went on to hire so much easier because it simply would not have worked and didn't work when I had tried to hire people before because I was so busy charging forward that I didn't have time. And I just don't have energy with my personality type to do a good job of managing that day to day, managing people under me. So I needed help with that area of the business. So even though my online business manager cost me money and did not directly make me any money, it freed me up to just increase my income so much from there.
Gillian, where can people find you?
So you can find me pretty much anywhere at my name. So if you go to GillianPerkins.com, you'll find me there. If you look me up on YouTube, just look up Gillian Perkins. I mostly am on my website and on YouTube. And if you're interested in Startup Society, you can go to startupsociety.com.
Thank you, Gillian. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a chance, stop by the website at lindamendable.com and join us over at Monetizing Mompreneurs Facebook group. I just want to say again, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.